Morning, dear students. Welcome back to yet another session. Today we are going to start off with a very new chapter, that is active and passive voice. This is a topic I believe you are familiar with, or you must have been familiar with. You might have been studying it from classes 6, and it is a kind of chapter which you cannot omit or which you cannot leave out till you finish your schooling. Because not even schooling, this is a kind of chapter that you need to be familiar with all through your school life and college life. Because even in college or even in competitive exams, you have sentences related to active and passive. So this is a topic that you need to kind of pay attention to. You need to focus on this. But not sometimes, very often students make mistakes while constructing sentences, while transforming sentences from the active voice into passive voice or vice versa. So, where do the mistakes occur? Where do the mistakes occur? We need to look into that. First, let us see what this active and passive voice is. Let's have a small, let's give a thought over it, or let's kind of find out what exactly is this active and passive voice. You look at the sentence, Peter makes kites. Peter makes kites, a very simple sentence. It is in the simple present. So, Peter, as you see here, is the person who does something. Peter is the person who does something. So he is a doer of the action. You may also call it as the doer of the action. So what does the doer do? The doer makes kites. The doer makes kites. So doer is the subject. Doer is the subject. Peter makes kites. Now let's take the next word. What is this? Makes. This is an action and therefore it is a verb. Number 3, the last word of the sentence is kites. Now this gives you an answer for the question what? What does Peter make? He makes kites. So we have a subject, we have a verb, and we have the object. Subject answers the question who, and object answers the question what. And verb is nothing but the action performed. So, Peter makes kites. One of the simplest sentences. Now, what I have done here is, I have taken this Peter to the end of the sentence in the passive. So, the subject, that is Peter, becomes the object. And the object in the active voice, that is the word kites, becomes the subject. So one thing is clear now. What is clear? The subject in the active voice becomes the object in the passive. And the object in the active voice becomes the subject in the passive. So they are interchanged. They are interchanged. You need to keep this in mind. First rule, subject in the active voice becomes the object in the passive, and the object in the passive voice becomes the subject. Take a note of it. A very careful note has to be taken. So object becomes the subject. Now, look at this. Person, active voice. Action, passive voice. What do I mean by this? When do we use the active voice? When we want to emphasize on the person. When we want to emphasize the person. That is, when we want to give importance to the person who is performing something. When we want to give importance to the person who is performing something, the sentence is written in the active voice. But when we want to focus or emphasize upon or emphasize on the action, When we want to give importance to the action, then the sentence is written in the passive voice. Is it clear? I hope it must be clear now. So, when the person is emphasized, sentence in the active. When the action is emphasized, sentence is in the passive. Now, look at this side. Learn the formulas. In mathematics, you have lots and lots of formulas to memorize. Formulas are important because the problems are solved on the basis of formulas. Formulas or formulae. So, they are important because without the formula, you cannot derive a conclusion to a problem. You cannot solve a problem. Theorems and formulas. In the same manner, you have a lot of formulas in the active voice as well as passive voice. So, an active voice has a formula. As you see, a subject plus verb plus object. This is a formula. This is a structure. This is a structure for the active voice. But when it is changed into passive voice, object, okay, plus is am or, okay, plus V3 plus by plus subject. So, there is a formula for active voice and a formula for passive voice as well. So, you have to be familiar with all the formulas. Formulas of the active voice and formulas for the passive voice. So, there are 12 formulas for the active voice and 8 formulas for the passive voice. Altogether, you can have 20 formulas. Other than these 20 formulas, there are some exceptional sentences and we have some special formulas for them as well. But first, let us discuss the tenses and how every tense is converted into passive voice. It may take some time, but it is very, very important to go through the structure of the sentence and the change of the sentence. How the sentence is changed according to the formulas. So now look at this. Present simple. Present simple. Peter makes kites. Kites are made by Peter. So what happens? The object comes first. Kites. I have written the object. Then you use one of these verbs, is and are. Why do I use one of the verbs? Because sometimes the object may be in the plural form. Sometimes the object may be in the singular form. Here if you take this sentence, kites, the object is obviously in the plural form. So you have to use are. Kites are made by Peter. Kites are. Why? Kites is in the plural form. Supposing if the sentence goes this way, Peter makes a kite, then how do I transform that? How do I change that? Kite, a kite. Peter makes a kite. A kite is made by Peter. I repeat, a kite is made by Peter. Why did I use is? I used is because kite is a singular object. Kite is a singular object. So accordingly, I use the helping verb. So remember, if the object is plural, obviously the verb has to be plural. If the object is singular, well, the verb is singular. We need to keep this in mind. We need to keep this in mind. So look at this sentence. I've given you another sentence, okay, based on the simple present. He loves chocolates. He loves chocolates. Chocolates are loved by him. So he is the subject, loves is the verb, chocolates is the object. So again, object becomes a subject, chocolates. Again, are. Why are? Chocolates is in the plural form. Chocolates. Chocolates are loved by him. Now, you need to focus on one thing more, that is the V3 past participle. Past participle. I always tell students of English grammar or those who study English to be familiar with V1, V2, V3 and V4. Every verb has 4 forms. For example, you take the verb study. Study, studied, studied, studies. And when it is combined with the third person singular, it is studies. He studies. Mary studies. Peter studies. Rohit studies, whatever it may be. So every verb has 4 forms, and the third form of the verb is known as the past participle. What do you call that? You call it as past participle. So we use the past participle in the passive voice. We use the past participle. For example, you see, kites are made. What is made? It is a past participle. Peter makes kites, but makes is changed into made. Okay? So you need to be aware of this particular point. That is, the past participle is used in the passive voice when you convert sentences from active into passive. So coming back upon the rules once again, object in the active voice becomes the subject in the passive voice. The subject in the active voice becomes the object in the passive voice. They are interchanged. Number 2, the object might be in the singular form or in the plural form. For example, kites in this sentence is plural. So when it is plural, we use the plural verb. When the object is in the singular form, we use the singular verb. Peter makes a kite. So kite is singular. A kite is made by Peter. So take care of the object, the number of the object. See whether it is in the singular form or in the plural form, right? So V3 is again used, that is past participle. Take care of this, take notice of this change. Then look at this. Present simple, object, is or am or are plus V3 plus by. There is a word by. Sometimes we use the word by in the passive. Sometimes we use the word by. Not sometimes, most often. You see here? By. This by indicates that the sentence is in the passive voice. Remember, by indicates that the sentence is in the passive voice. Right. Now, coming to this part. So first, you must be thorough or familiar with all the formulas. We will be discussing the formulas one by one. And then look at this. He changes into him. She changes into her. We changes into us. You changes into you. And they changes into them. Now remember, these are the changes of the pronoun. These are the changes of the pronoun. All these words are pronouns. He, she, we, you, they, and there is also one more pronoun, that is it. It remains as it. So see the changes of the pronouns. That is very important. For example, now I write a sentence here. Take a careful look at it. He does exercises. He does exercises. So he is the subject, does is the verb, exercises is the object. Now look at this. As per the rule, subject and object, they get interchanged. So I write exercises. Exercises are. I use are. Why? Because exercises are in the plural form. The word exercises is in the plural form. Exercises are done, do, did, done. As I have told you just a while ago, we use the past participle in the passive voice. Exercises are done by. Now, he changes into him. This is important. Supposing if it is she does exercises, then him changes into her. Supposing if it is they do exercises. Exercises are done by them. So you need to take care while changing the pronouns. The changes of the pronouns. Okay, they are very important. He into him, she into her, we into us, you into you. You doesn't go any undergo any change. It doesn't take any change. They becomes them and it becomes it. So take care of these changes. Very important. Right? And then there is one more important point that you need to keep in mind. That is, you are requested, you are advised, and you are ordered. Look at these three expressions. You are requested, you are advised, you are ordered. Three sentences, three expressions. When do we use these three expressions? Now look at the sentence. Please shut the door. Please shut the door. I repeat the sentence. Please shut the door. Now, by looking at this sentence, at the very beginning, you can understand that it is a request. Please shut the door. Looking at the sentence, you will get the idea that it is a request because please is used. The sentence begins with please. So, how do I write this? It is a request. So, I use this expression, that is, you are requested to shut the door. You are requested to shut the door. Why did I use you are requested? Because the sentence starts with please. You can have a good number of sentences in this pattern. Please give me your book. You are requested to give me your book. Please sit down. Please sit down. That is again a request. So you start the sentence with you are requested to sit down. Please have some tea. You are requested to have some tea. So when the sentence starts with please, we use this one. Okay? And you are advised. You are ordered. These are also certain expressions, but we will be discussing them in the forthcoming classes. For time being, be aware of this particular expression. That is, when the sentence starts with a request, when the sentence starts with the word please, then we reconstruct it or we rewrite it in the passive voice in the following manner. That is, you are requested to shut the door. Now look at this present continuous. We have seen how the present simple is changed. In the same manner, we can convert present continuous tenses into passive voice as well. Look at this sentence. This is just one example. She is watching a film. How do you know that a sentence is in the present continuous? You have a subject, then you have a helping verb, then you have VIII, that is a present participle, and then obviously the object. So subject is a verb plus watching plus an object. This gives you the idea that the sentence is in the present continuous tense. So she is watching a film. The sentence is in the present continuous. And how do I change that? A film, as per the rule, object becomes a subject. So a film is being. This is the change that you need to take notice of. This is the change that you need to know. Is being. Why did I use is? Because film is in the singular form. Third person singular. So a film and then is. After that comes being. Being is used because it is in the continuous form. Any continuous form, whether it is past continuous or present continuous, past perfect continuous, present perfect continuous, all the continuous forms except for one or two, they will be having this being with them. He is singing a song. Song is the object, so a song is being sung by him. Is and are. He is singing some good songs. Now here it is plural again. So some good songs are being sung by him. Good songs, plural. And I use are because songs, that is in the plural form. Are, then being, do not leave out being. That is very important. The mistake that most of the students make is that they leave out this being. Good songs are sung by them. Now this answer is not correct because the tense is in the present continuous. So you have to use being. Remember that. Continuous tenses will take the being, the verb being. Good songs are being sung by him. He is distributing some snacks. Some snacks are being distributed by him. Are being. So it depends on the object. Whether the object is singular or plural. You have to watch. You have to take note of that. And accordingly you must use the verb. Right? So we discussed a few points regarding the active and passive voice today. We started off with the simple present tense. Okay. Then we discussed the formula. If you look at any good English grammar book, you will have this topic there. This chapter is discussed in detail and you will find lots of formulas. Formula for every tense. Learn the formula. Apply the formula. So you don't have to be dependent on me. You can refer to books which deal with this topic, passive voice. There are exercises. You can do it by yourself. Definitely, I will also be giving you some sentences, right? So we discuss the formulas and then the change of pronoun. This is also important. Before you begin to change a sentence from active to passive, you need to take care of these changes. Keep that in mind. Then you are requested. You are requested. Use this expression. It's very, very important. Right. Now, before I conclude, let me kind of give you a small piece of information. I would like to end up the class or wind up with this note. Headlines. What do you mean by headlines? When you read a newspaper, you'll always have the headline first, then the article is discussed. You see, supposing murderer arrested. Murderer arrested. Now in what tense is this? In what voice is this? Is it in the active or in the passive? Definitely in the passive. But how do you identify that? Arrested is V3 here. What the headline actually means is the murderer is arrested. But in order to save the space, they shorten the headlines by deleting or omitting the helping verb. So, murderer arrested. You may be wondering, why? Where is the helping verb gone? It has disappeared. No. Helping verb is there, but for convenience sake, in order to save the space, they leave out the verb. So, murderer arrested means murderer is arrested. Okay. Prime accused. Prime accused. What is the meaning? The person who is mainly accused. This is again in the passive voice. Prime accused, produced in the court. Prime accused, produced in the court. So what do you mean by this sentence? The prime accused, the person who was involved, seriously involved in the murder or in the death, was produced or is produced. So definitely this is in the passive voice. Headlines. So my dear students, I think I might have given you an overall idea. You might have got at least a little bit of idea about the topic passive voice. Keep these points in mind, and in the forthcoming classes, we will be discussing some more sentences. Till then, keep revising and stay safe. Thank you.